This is Just Win Bets, baby, on the Sports Bet Winning Network.
All right, everyone, you are here in for a treat. Today, we are joined by a literal titan of the fantasy sports world. If you have ever checked a quick player note to see why your star running back is on the injury report, or if you've relied on real data to win your league, you have this man to thank. Back in 1997, he co-founded Roto News, which pioneered the empire of modern fantasy sports content. Today, he is the senior editor and co-founder of Rotowire. As an FSWA Hall of Famer and multi-time baseball writer of the year, in the voice you hear daily on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio and VSiN with our good friend Nick Whalen on Prop Points. Please welcome the legendary Cincinnati sports fan, Jeff Erickson. Jeff, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me on. Always good to talk shop.
Absolutely, absolutely. Talking about Rotowire, you when you co-founded Roto News back in 1997, you pioneered the news and analyst player note format that literally every sports site uses today. Looking at how advanced the industry has become with AI, sports betting integration, and advanced analytics, what has surprised you the most about how fantasy sports content has evolved over the last 25 years?
Well, just the various different ways we can play. It's the analysis is so robust, and it's over multiple different sports. The types of games, like let's just say football, because it's the biggest of the fantasy sports. There's dynasty leagues, there's Devy leagues, DFS. Various scoring systems, the various different ways we can play. College fantasy is a huge deal now too. There's these big, massive contests, charity leagues, you name it. And just the fact that it's a 24/7, 365 endeavor too. It always has been, to a certain extent in fantasy, we've always been sickos, but the degree of sickoness has just been amped up to another level, just another degree. The fact is, like the day after the Super Bowl, we're already doing fantasy football drafts. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's insane. And football has really turned into a year-round sport, hasn't it? It's crazy, the product that the NFL has put out there, where it's just fans are just so hungry for that product, and it's year-round content pretty much.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And baseball's been that way to a certain extent. I mean, the ramp-up period for baseball always has been the case where I start my baseball projections in October. And as soon as the World Series is over, I'm starting to work on that. And I know my colleagues in the industry are that way. Ron Chandler, a big pioneer in our baseball industry, started the Baseball Forecaster. That's published in November, which is just an amazing feat if you think about it there. Just the reams of data you have to go through, the sheer volume of players you have to go through. It's really crazy. So that's one of the things that's definitely changed. The immediacy of the information is the other, obviously. The fact is, we used to be unique because having all the players' information in one place on a daily basis there, and not waiting for 2 days after the fact to find out why my non-star player is missing a game. Sure, star players we could see on SportsCenter that night and know what happened and all that, or Baseball Tonight, because that used to be a thing. Now we don't have to wait for USA Today to come with the one paragraph of notes for your players. Every newspaper was online, and now Twitter, everything is online, and we can watch every single game. It's immediate. There's bots out there sifting, pulling equipment. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally different world. I agree, especially with Twitter. It's on there instantly now.
Yeah.
So it's as soon as it happens, you can see clips of it right away. It's crazy how it's changed over the last 25 years plus.
100%.
So something else that's changed, especially you guys at Rotowire. I mean, you've done fantasy sports for a long time, and then now there's the legal sports betting boom going on, right? Mm-hmm. Where more and more states are getting sports betting legalized. And you do a lot of work on golf and football betting yourself and stuff like that. How has the mainstream explosion of sports gambling changed the way you approach writing and analyzing fantasy sports?
It's just one more thing to consider. I mean, the fact that I'm hosting a show on VSiN, I get a little bit of imposter syndrome. I'm not a veteran sports bettor. I'm a veteran fantasy player. And obviously the Venn diagram overlaps quite a bit, but I have to learn certain terms. I have to learn, different ways to approach it. It's made me actually a better fantasy player, at least in terms of distilling it on a day-to-day basis. Fantasy, you're always drilled, kind of think about the long haul. that because especially baseball is a long form sport, and we're now in an immediacy, like, in a TikTok era, where everything is in bites. Everything is immediate. You want to bet the day's slate. You want to look at you want to try to dive into what your starting pitcher is going to do on this particular day and be able to act on it. And whereas in like most fantasy leagues, traditional fantasy leagues, like, okay, well, this guy's going to be good eventually. This is what's going to happen. And usually you're rewarded with that. And fantasy's changed that way too, a little bit. It's a little bit more immediate. There's a lot more daily moves leagues. There's a lot more immediacy to it there. I think that's the other thing that's really, really changed for me.
With fantasy too, you have like the daily fantasy, which was huge before sports betting boom. Like that took off like big when DraftKings and stuff like that had their picks, and that was huge. And that's like a little bit more immediate, like you're talking as well.
Yeah, we spent our whole first half of our career trying to distinguish fantasy from sports betting, and now we're like embracing it with open arms. But it's a contrast, to say the least. It's game of skill, we used to argue, and it still is a game of skill, but I'd stand by that. But at the same time, it's really changed things a lot there, that we have to, sports betting's not that bad.
Yeah, no question.
It has changed a bunch. I feel like myself, like I used to be huge into fantasy, but ever since sports betting became legal, I'm like, my fantasy leagues, I feel like I lose interest in a lot faster than I used to, which is sad but I'm more like looking at the point spreads and stuff like that. But I still play it, but just I look more into betting. I don't know why.
Yeah, we're with our good friend Jeff Erickson. You can follow him on X at Jeff, that's JEFF _Erickson, ERICKSON, and make sure that you follow him. There's a QR code on the bottom right corner, and you can check out their website, rotowire.com, and check out, of course, the Rotowire Smart Money that's powered our show. We had our good friend Nick Whalen on last week to talk about it, and it's a great tool. Definitely is a great tool. Jeff, let me ask you this question here, my friend. And again, we appreciate you coming on. And before I even ask my next question, Shano, he touched a little bit on something that we have a mathematics background. I have a computer science background as well. So you said Venn diagram. So now you're speaking our language there, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the funny thing is, ironically, I don't have that background. I'm a recovering attorney. I'm a poli-sci major, got into law school. And then I passed the bar, got sworn in, never practiced. And instead, I found a better use, more social utility for my skills. But at the same time, I always had the love. I always wanted to work in sports. Almost gave up the ghost. I found myself not applying, interviewing for jobs after passing the bar, and I had to ask why. So, I don't want to do this. And luckily, I had another outlet, and we were starting Row News on the side. Actually, in fact, I was studying for the bar when we launched the company. It was a thing on the side, and it took off in a year and a half. I was doing it full time.
Oh, that's great. I know what you mean. You do something that we love. We love talking to people, etc. Doing this. But let me switch gears and asking your question back to the fantasy. Every fantasy analyst has a draft philosophy that they swear it by, right? But we all bear some draft scars from players who broke our hearts. I know you've had a strong philosophy about taking like a running back to back. But you've also openly talked about the pain by drafting Christian McCaffrey, #1 overall in 2024. How do you balance staying disciplined to your proven draft matrix versus adapting to unpredictable injuries and changing team dynamics?
Well, it's funny. I think I kind of meld my philosophy around like the position I have, what the type of league that we're in. Again, fantasy football was played so many different ways. Now we have super flex leagues. We have, it used to be, it was a bold move to do PPR leagues. And that's how much the industry has evolved since I started doing it, AKA I'm old. But at the same time, I look at it like this. It's just like, I think if you have to challenge your assumptions all the time, you can't just assume like, hey, this, my philosophy is the only thing that can work. Because then I think you're missing trends. You're missing out on different ways to win. And besides, if you do the same thing every time and everybody else does the same thing, then there's less value in it too. You got to be able to adapt to what's in the room too.
Most definitely there. Most definitely. And you have to play, especially during drafts. I feel like you have to see like how the draft's playing out. You have to take value where it comes too. A lot of times, because like if a lot of people have that same strategy of picking running backs early and stuff like that, it's slim pickings. You don't want to
Absolutely.
pick a position just to pick it either.
Absolutely.
So you've done it all. You've done print magazines, deep dive articles, daily satellite radio, podcasts. You're on VSiN. In an era where sports media is changing, like we kind of talked about, where instead of like these deep dive analytical things are happening, it's more moving towards these TikTok style clips where they're short, fast paced, modern views to keep the viewers engaged. How have you switched to that fast paced sports fan?
Slowly. I'll be honest. I don't have a TikTok account. I promised my daughters, who are both college aged, or both in college for that matter, that I wouldn't have a TikTok account. But we do shorter videos. The company has one. I put some out for that. I'll be first to admit others are better at that the short form than I am. It's something I need to work on. The funny thing is, you do a short video, and it takes a long time to prep for that, especially if you want to do it right. You want to have the right editing. You want to be able to, get your point across in 45 seconds, which means you have to kind of edit out a lot of the fluff, if you will, a lot of superfluous talking about things, and you have to be a lot quicker on that. So it's just as hard amount of work, and I think that's maybe a misconception. Some people think, oh, you're just cranking out a couple quick videos. No, it takes, like for me, maybe it takes longer than others because I don't have that muscle defined as much as others. That I'm used to like the conversational approach, whereas these shorter form things are usually more of a quick monologue. It's a quick boom, boom, and you're done.
I totally agree. It's tough, man, to get it in there in like under a minute. I've done a bunch for our YouTube, for our YouTube shorts and stuff like that, and it's challenging sometimes. And it's like you have to cut out some stuff, and like it is definitely a totally different world, and it definitely is the same amount of work, like you said. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I can relate, Jeff. I leave that to Shane O'Mac over there, and yeah, I just. I book the guests, I'll ask the questions, maybe do a little soccer on the side because that's what I specialize in. I specialize in domestic and international soccer. So
who are your clubs?
I'm sorry?
Who are your clubs? Who do you root for?
Well, I cover international and domestic soccer. So my clubs here, for example, the English Premier League, I was pulling for Manchester City. I advised my partner there, based on the Arsenal history that they've had. They usually take a kind of a dive, but it didn't work out for them. But it is what it is. In France, which is the Ligue is PSG. La Liga, I would say Real Madrid. Some people say, hey, why not go Barcelona? Sure, but Real Madrid has always been a club that I've always watched. Domestic wise, as I cover not only Liga MX, which is the Mexican league, but also I cover the MLS. Can't go wrong with DC United because we're local here. But sure. I really, international, since the World Cup is coming on, I really like the style. I've always liked it when growing up. I'm in my early 50s myself. I don't mind saying that publicly, but I've always enjoyed the way Brazil has set it up. I respect the long ball where England, the European clubs do more of a long ball kind of thing, where Brazil or the Southern American teams usually kind of sets up like chess. They set the ball up here, little pass here, and they set it up to score. You see the difference between the two for me covering it, the international and domestic. So yeah. I kind of appreciate it.
Cool. I coached my girls for 13 years in AYSO. I'm a Liverpool guy, Dortmund fan, and LA Galaxy are my three clubs.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to the World Cup, obviously. Not looking forward to paying the exorbitant fees to go see a game, which means I'll probably watch it all on TV. But we'll see. I mean, I'm in a host city out in LA, so hopefully I get a chance to go to a game. But that would be nice. I don't know how to bet soccer very well, but I'm just a fan.
Follow this guy. He knows his stuff with soccer. I'll tell you that.
Nice. I appreciate it. Yeah. No, I'm a little disappointed in the way, not only the prices of the World Cup real quick. I didn't mean to go on a side note here, but I'm a little disappointed because again, we're about 30 minutes outside of the nation's capital. And I get it. There's no big, huge stadium. I mean, DC United plays in soccer field, but it only holds X amount of people, and I understand like New York is huge. Hey, LA is huge. Chicago will be huge. Philadelphia. I get that. I'm just disappointed it's not in our nation's capital. I wish Washington.
That's because
DC did
FedEx
better.
Field is terrible. That's why.
That is true. That is true.
Thing is falling apart. If
Well,
we had the new stadium built, that's going to be built for the Washington Commanders there. That's supposed to be built by 2030. If that was around, I guarantee you it'd be here in DC.
Yeah, but I got to wait
in all these
30 years.
temporary fields though. They're playing in SoFi, which is not a grass field. They're playing in MetLife, which is not a grass field, but they're bringing temporary grass fields, which puts the lie to the NFL that they can't do it for the NFL too, by the way. But also it does help that it's summertime. That makes it a little bit easier to pull that off. But yeah, there's a way if you really wanted to do it, but they just didn't want to.
Yeah, there definitely is a way. I agree with you right there, my friend. We're here again with our good friend Jeff Erickson. Again, you can follow him on X at Jeff_Erickson, and please do not catch him weekdays 1 to 2 Eastern Standard Time on VSiN with our good friend Nick Whalen on the show known as Prop Points. My final question here, my friend, with Rotowire, switching gears here to Rotowire, now cemented as a legendary institution in the space, what is the next big thing for the company? As in, what is the feature or a sport or a technology that you are currently looking at and thinking this could be the next major thing in fantasy players?
I think one of the big things is always trying to keep up with the technology. I know every company in the world wants to keep up with AI and try to find uses for that, and so do we. I think that's a big part of it as well. But I want to make sure that we don't lose our originality, our opinions, our personalities that go into the shows as well. I think trying to meld the things that make our tasks a little faster while still maintaining our originality and our personality I think that's a dual-pronged attack. Trying to see the future of the industry is a tricky one there. I think you're going to see a lot more, I think trying to mainstreaming of sports betting, I think in finding different ways to play it, maybe at more micro levels. I think that might be one of the things that makes it a little bit easier, makes it a little bit more appealing to a broader group. Because I think that always the key is trying to find new avenues, new subscribers, new people that want to play, grow our sport, grow our activity. Whether it's fantasy, whether it's sports betting, you name it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And I agree with you there too. Personalities is what's going to drive it. I mean, because AI anybody can do, right? Yep. And then it's personalities, and then people get attached to somebody like on your website, and then they want to follow them. That's huge, right? That's huge.
I always want to make sure there's room for the dad jokes out there. So
there you go.
Totally.
There you go.
Totally.
There you go.
Right,
I'm a big fan of that.
You had the first overall pick in the NFL fantasy football draft for this upcoming season. Who are you taking?
That is a good question. I am probably going to be going with Bijan Robinson, but I might have Chase too over Jahmyr Gibbs, just because I'm not thrilled with the line changes in Detroit. I don't think they'll be the same strong offensive line that they were in previous years. The draft did a little bit to address that, but Bijan feels like he's as safe as he can be there at the top. And then you get that elite running back that gives you a way to be wide open at the top. But I'm not rigid in taking a first-round running back, and I think that's probably a misconception. I think this year in particular, I think there's about 5 or 6 that are probably deservedly going in the first round. We'll see. It depends on your league structure. It's now a little bit different too, that the way leagues are structured a little bit there. But yeah, I go Bijan, Chase, and then Gibbs.
Wow.
Nice. I think that's pretty much the top 3. I think like if I looked at the last time I looked at it, it's been a couple of days, but the adjusted draft rankings, I think Gibbs was first. I think the last time I looked at it, but I agree with you there. I like Bijan. I think would be first because he does it all, man. He's out there for 3 downs.
I'll be the nice guy. I'll draft third, and then have a better second round pick. That's the way I'd probably like to go.
Are you at liberty to say is Nick Whalen part of the the group of fantasy football team or in the league?
Oh, well, so and we do a number of leagues together, and with Rotowire's coverage, he probably does more football coverage than I'm doing right now, actually.
Oh, okay.
But he is more rigid. No, I wouldn't say rigid. I think he adheres to trying to attack early running backs even more so than I do, for what it's worth. But I think a lot of it depends on your draft slot, and it depends on the league format too.
Well, I hope he doesn't pick a kicker. Nothing against kickers or anything, or a tight end first overall if he lands in first overall. But if he does, you never know. Maybe he takes a defense first overall.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a risk.
No. I'm joking. Of course.
It'll be all Jaguars team for him, though. That might.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Auto pick that. Auto draft that. Yeah. Oh man. Well, Jeff, we truly appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us today. And again, we'll give you an opportunity to just, I know I plugged a couple of things, but is there anything else? Did you want to tell our audience that they can, look for you besides Rotowire and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, just Rotowire is the main thing. I'm on Sirius XM on Rotowire Fantasy Sports Today. That's on. We're on every day from 11 to 1 over on Sirius XM. I'm personally on Sunday through Thursdays, and then Nick and I on Prop Points are on are on immediately after that from Monday through Friday. That's from 1 to 2 Eastern time. So, and then I do various guest segments here and there. But most importantly, just check out rotowire.com. You can use a promo code. You can use promo code YouTube15, get 15% off any Rotowire subscription. If you want to go ahead, check that out. Just tell them you found us, that you've heard about us from here.
Fantastic. That's great.
Love it.
Well, Jeff, we love it. Jeff, we truly appreciate your time. And again, you can follow our good friend, Jeff Erickson on X. You can see it right there below. And then we have the QR code on the bottom right corner. It goes right to their website, and you can check out all the amazing stuff that Rotowire offers. So, Jeff, again, we appreciate taking your time out of your schedule, and stay safe, my friend.
Hey, thank you.
All right, so when we return, of course, we'll have our best bets for the night here on Just Win Bets, baby.